Okay, don't hang up.
This is a prayer that, I've prayed every night, for justice.
We knew who did it, we just didn't have the name of the person.
You direct a gun at someone's face and pull the trigger, you're intentionally doing that.
She was loved by many. She was a great person.
Sarah was beautiful. She was very smart. And when I was younger, I wanted to be just like her.
Growing up, the way I felt of, will I ever get justice? Will I ever find closure?
What defines justice? Is it the swift hand of the law in the immediate aftermath of a crime? Or is it the slow, relentless pursuit of truth that spans decades? In Phoenix, Arizona, one family's search for answers would test the very limits of justice and prove that sometimes closure comes in the most unexpected ways. The summer of 1998 was breaking heat records across Phoenix. Local newspapers that July reported 15 straight days of temperatures soaring above 110 degrees. The kind of heat that made the air shimmer above the pavement, that drove people indoors, that made the nights feel endless. But for the Carr family, one night would truly become endless, stretching across 26 years of questions, of pain, and of unwavering hope. This is the story of Sarah Jane Carr, a woman whose case became a symbol of perseverance, a family's relentless hope, and the incredible breakthroughs that can turn the tide in even the coldest of cases. Keep watching as we unravel the long road to justice, the shocking revelations, and the legacy of a mother whose memory refused to fade. But before we dive deeper into the mystery, I'd like to ask for a small favor. The statistics show that more than 70% of you watching aren't subscribed to the channel yet. If you're enjoying these deep dives into true crime and want to stay updated on future cases, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and ensures you don't miss out on any new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the case. Born in 1970 to working-class parents, Sarah grew up in the same Phoenix neighborhoods, where she would later raise her own children. Former classmates from Central High School remember her as the girl who always had time for everyone else's problems, who seemed to have a natural gift for caring. Even at 16, Sarah was the one we all went to when things got rough, says Rebecca Torres, a childhood friend. She just knew how to make everything feel better. In a modest ranch-style home near 14th Street and McDowell Road, Sarah Jane Carr was living a life built on love and sacrifice. At 28, she was already mother to 6 children, each one the center of her universe. Those who knew her then remember a woman who somehow made it all look effortless, even though they knew it wasn't. Sarah was always moving, recalls Martha Delgado, who lived next door to the Carrs for over a decade. She'd be helping one kid with homework while cooking dinner, folding laundry while planning the next day's lunches. But what I remember most was her laugh. You could hear it through the walls sometimes, this pure joy despite everything on her plate. This innate compassion would shape her entire life. By her early 20s, Sarah had married and begun building the large family she'd always dreamed of having. While the marriage didn't last, her dedication to her children never wavered. She worked multiple jobs, primarily as a medical office receptionist during the day and picking up evening shifts at a local diner when money got tight. She never missed a school event, remembers Karen Martinez, who taught 3 of Sarah's children at Creighton Elementary. She'd come straight from work, still in her uniform sometimes, but she was there. Every play, every parent-teacher conference, every award ceremony. Her kids knew they could count on seeing her face in the audience. The summer of 1998 was particularly challenging. The soaring temperatures had pushed utility bills higher than usual, and Sarah had been picking up extra shifts to make ends meet. But those who saw her in the days leading up to July 9th say she seemed optimistic, even excited about the future. She had recently enrolled in night classes at Phoenix College, dreaming of becoming a nurse. She told me she wanted her kids to see that it's never too late to chase your dreams, says Maria Sanchez, her supervisor at the medical office. That was on Tuesday. By Thursday, she was gone. July 9th, 1998, started like any other day in Phoenix. The morning news warned of another scorcher, with temperatures expected to hit 113 degrees by mid-afternoon. Sarah dropped her younger children at summer daycare, the older ones at various activities, and headed to work. Security footage from the medical office, later reviewed by investigators, shows her leaving around 5:30 p.m., seemingly in good spirits. What happened in the next 6 hours would haunt Phoenix law enforcement for more than 2 decades. According to police reports, Sarah's evening followed its usual routine. She picked up her children, made dinner, spaghetti and meatballs, according to her oldest daughter Jennifer, and supervised homework. Phone records show she made several calls between 8 and 10 p.m., including one to her sister Peggy about borrowing a fan for the weekend. The last known person to speak with Sarah was her neighbor, David Chen, who waved to her around 11:15 p.m. as she brought in a forgotten toy from the front yard. She smiled and said something about the heat finally breaking, Chen would later tell detectives. That was it, just an ordinary moment. 45 minutes later, at exactly 11:58 p.m., the first 911 call came in. The dispatcher who took that call still remembers it, says retired Phoenix police detective James Martinez.
A girl got shot in the I don't know her name. Hey, don't hang up. I need to know who shot her. We're trying to look for a suspect on our way there.
The initial response was swift. Phoenix PD patrol units arrived within 4 minutes of the call. They found Sarah with a single gunshot wound. Despite immediate medical intervention, she was pronounced dead at 12:17 a.m. on July 10, 1998. Her children mercifully had slept through the incident. The crime scene presented immediate challenges for investigators. There was no sign of forced entry, suggesting Sarah either knew her killer or had willingly opened the door. The murder weapon was nowhere to be found. Most puzzling was the lack of any clear motive. Nothing had been stolen, and Sarah had no known enemies. We had 6 kids who just lost their mother, a community in shock, and very little to go on, remembers Detective Martinez. The pressure to solve this one fast was intense. The initial investigation moved at a rapid pace. Detectives conducted over 50 interviews in the first week alone. They collected surveillance footage from nearby businesses, analyzed phone records, and processed what physical evidence they could find. But each lead seemed to take them nowhere. The only substantial piece of information came from a neighbor who remembered hearing Sarah argue with someone a few days before her death. The neighbor couldn't make out what was said, but recalled hearing a nickname, a detail that would prove crucial years later. As weeks turned into months, the case began to cool. For Sarah's family, this period was excruciating. Her children, ranging in age from 2 to 13, struggled to adapt to life without their mother. The responsibility of raising them fell to various family members, with Sarah's sister Peggy taking the lead. We tried to keep their lives as normal as possible, Peggy Carr recalls, her voice still catching when she talks about those early days. But how do you explain to a 2-year-old that mommy isn't coming back? How do you help teenagers process something like this when you can barely process it yourself? That 2-year-old was Garrett Miller, Sarah's youngest. While his siblings had memories of their mother to hold on to, Garrett would grow up knowing her only through photographs and family stories. This void would profoundly shape his life's trajectory. The years that followed saw the case revisited periodically, but no substantial progress was made. The file grew thicker with false leads and dead ends, eventually joining the ranks of Phoenix's cold cases. But something remarkable was happening beneath the surface. Each of Sarah's children processed their loss differently. Jennifer, the oldest, threw herself into academics, eventually earning a full scholarship to Arizona State University. Michael, the middle son, became involved in victim advocacy groups, and Garrett, that 2-year-old who had no memories of his mother, began asking questions about law enforcement. "I think I was around 12 when I really started understanding what happened," Garrett would later say. "I'd spend hours online, reading about cold cases that got solved. I wanted to understand how it worked, how investigators piece things together." This interest would eventually lead him to the Austin Police Academy in Texas. But even as he worked toward his badge, the wheels of justice were finally beginning to turn in his mother's case. In 2016, the Phoenix Police Department's cold case unit, led by Detective Maria Rodriguez, decided to take another look at Sarah's case. By this time, forensic science had advanced considerably. DNA analysis was more sophisticated, database systems were more comprehensive, and most importantly, cross-jurisdictional cooperation had improved significantly. "Cold cases are like puzzles where the pieces keep changing shape," explains Rodriguez. "Sometimes you need to wait for technology to catch up to the evidence you have. Sometimes you need fresh eyes, and sometimes you just need luck." The team began by digitizing the entire case file, every interview, every photograph, every piece of evidence. They re-examined witness statements using modern statement analysis techniques. They ran old evidence through new databases. But the breakthrough came from that seemingly insignificant detail from 1998, the nickname overheard by a neighbor. Using advanced database analysis and cross-referencing with immigration records, investigators identified a potential suspect, Javier Lorenzano Nunez, now 58 years old. Further investigation revealed that he had fled to California shortly after Sarah's death, eventually making his way to Mexico. What followed was an extraordinary example of international cooperation. The Phoenix Police Department worked closely with the U.S. Justice Department, FBI, and Mexican law enforcement agencies. The operation required careful diplomacy, building relationships with Mexican authorities, navigating international law, and maintaining surveillance without tipping their hand. "These international cases are delicate," explains FBI Special Agent Carlos Ramirez, who assisted with the case. "You're dealing with different legal systems, different protocols, different cultures. One wrong move, and your suspect could disappear again." The breakthrough came in late 2023, when Mexican authorities confirmed Lorenzano Nunez's location in a small town outside Mexico City. The extraction operation was planned down to the minute, involving law enforcement agencies on both sides of the border. On October 23, 2024, Lorenzano Nunez was finally extradited to Phoenix. But fate had one more extraordinary twist in store. Remember Garrett Miller, that 2-year-old who grew up to become a police officer? When he graduated from the Austin Police Academy, he was given a special pair of handcuffs, as is tradition. Most new officers would have put them to immediate use, but Garrett kept them, waiting for one specific moment. Those handcuffs would be used to arrest his mother's alleged killer, a moment of poetic justice that left even veteran officers emotional. "In 25 years of law enforcement, I have never seen anything like it," says Detective Rodriguez. "It was like Sarah herself had orchestrated the whole thing." Watching the arrest, Sarah's sister Peggy spoke through tears. "I think she's dancing in heaven right now. All these years, we kept her memory alive, kept hoping for answers. And now, to have her own son be part of bringing justice, it's more than we could have ever imagined." Today, as Lorenzano Nunez faces charges related to the 1998 murder of Sarah Carr, the legal proceedings continue. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office is handling the prosecution, working to ensure that the long wait for justice hasn't been in vain. The case of Sarah Jane Carr stands as a testament to the evolution of criminal justice. It demonstrates how advances in forensic science, improved international cooperation, and dedicated cold case units can breathe new life into cases that seemed unsolvable. But more than that, It shows us the profound impact of violent crime, how the loss of one life can reshape dozens of others. Sarah's legacy lives on, not just in the 6 children she raised with such dedication, but in the precedent her case sets for other unsolved murders. Her story offers hope to every family still waiting for answers, to every detective still poring over old case files, to every cold case unit still pursuing decades-old leads. For those children who lost their mother on that sweltering Phoenix night in 1998, justice may have moved slowly, but it moved nonetheless, and in the end, it came full circle in the most remarkable way imaginable. Before we end today's story, take a moment to reflect on what we've learned from Sarah Carr's case. 26 years. That's how long a family waited for answers. That's how long justice took to finally catch up. But in those 26 years, something remarkable happened. Forensic science evolved, international cooperation improved, and a 2-year-old boy grew up to become part of his own mother's justice story. This case raises some fascinating questions about the future of cold case investigations. How many other families are out there, waiting for answers? How many cases might be solved with today's technology? And what breakthroughs might be just around the corner? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you or someone you know been affected by a cold case? What do you think about the role of modern forensic science in solving decades-old crimes? How do you feel about international cooperation in pursuing justice across borders? Your perspectives and experiences add valuable dimensions to these important conversations. If you found value in Sarah's story, please consider supporting our channel. Hit that like button. It helps more people find these important stories. Subscribe and click the bell icon to join our community of justice seekers. Share this video with friends and family who appreciate true crime investigations. Leave a comment with your thoughts. We read every single one. Remember, every cold case that gets solved sends a powerful message. It's never too late for justice. Sometimes it just takes one person keeping hope alive, one detective taking another look, or one breakthrough in forensic science to crack a case wide open. For the families still waiting for answers, for the detectives still searching for leads, and for the memory of Sarah Jane Carr, thank you for being part of this journey with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.